Hi, I'm Ellie, and this is your weekly theatre news recap, the show where I grab all of the theatre news in the UK from the past week and I give it to you in the only way I know how, chaotically. I thought there wasn't much news this week, honestly, and then I came to gather the news and I went, oh, there was actually quite a bit. So I'm going to give you it. I could have used my own weekly news recap series to gather news for my weekly news recap series. So if you want to stay up to date with UK theatre, you can subscribe, because I do these every single week. But let's start, as we always do, with our casting news, starting with 101 Dalmatians. You may have thought, oh, we've seen Cruella before, we've met a Cruella for the 101 Dalmatians tour, but you've got another one. Actor and pop icon Faye Tozer will be playing Cruella de Vil in Norwich, Canterbury, Leicester and Wolverhampton. She is joining Kim Marsh, who is also playing Cruella, but if you can do the math, you may realise that we still haven't got enough Cruellas. We've got Faye, who is doing 4 dates. We have Kim Marsh, who's doing like a fair chunk of the dates, but we still haven't filled up those dates that Kim Marsh is not doing. So we've still got more Cruellas to meet. How many more Cruellas will we meet? She's Cruella? She's Cruella? I'm Cruella! Is there any other Cruellas I should know about? That was a very niche SpongeBob reference. Have you got that SpongeBob reference? I'm a fan of you. But this tour will be opening in June, and I am quite excited to see it. I'm very intrigued. Will there be 101 Dalmatians? I sure hope so. Next up, Secret Garden, another show that is heading to the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre this summer. It is the second or third, I guess, in their 4-show season, seeing as they have their family show, which is Enormous Crocodile, which is happening overlapping some of the shows. So technically 4, but I like to think of it as 3 because they announced those 3 together. Shush. The second in the main show lineup for this season is an adaptation of the book The Secret Garden. And the cast are as follows. Theo Angel, who's going to be playing Colin. Richard Clues, who's going to be playing Ben. George Fletcher, who's playing Dr. Craven. Amanda Haddingue as Mrs. Medlock. Molly Hewitt-Richards as Martha. Jack Humphrey as Archibald Craven. What a great name. That's a great character name. I love that. Avita Jay as Champa. Hannah Khalik Brown as Mary Lennox. Patrick Osborne as Captain Lennox. Sharan Full as Latta/The Robin. Arcana Ramaswamy as Padma. And Bridie Service as Dickon. I kind of want to see this one. Do I know anything about The Secret Garden? No. Have I read the book? No. Have I seen the musical version? No. But do you know what? Maybe the first way I can see it is through this new play version at the Regent's Park Open Air Theatre this summer. Next up, Closer to Heaven. This is a musical that is heading to the Turbine Theatre, and we have our cast, including 1994 Eurovision Song Contest contestant Francis Raffel as Billy Trix. You know how to get the gays in. Just put a Eurovision contestant in here. They are joined by the cast members who are getting the theatre gays in. Courtney Bowman as Shell, Glenn Adamson as Dave, Connor Carson as Lee, Kurt Kangsley as Vic, David Muscat as Bob, Lewis Brown as Flynn, and the Babes, who are played by Beth Kernock, Jamie Tate, and Sian Hughes. I'm booked in for this one. I don't know anything about it as well. I think that makes it more interesting for me, but it looks like we're getting a kind of like immersive production at the Turbine, and knowing how like small that space is, I'm quite interested to see how this one goes. I'm very intrigued. Colour me intrigued. Next up, we have No Love Songs, which is going on a mini UK tour, and they have also announced their casting, who are John McLarnon, who is reprising his role as Jesse, and Anna Russell Martin, who is playing Lana. This is having a run at the Dundee Rep from the 9th to the 11th of May. It's going to the Theatre Royal Brighton as part of the Brighton Festival from the 17th to the 18th of May, and is getting a run at the Southwark Playhouse Elephant in London from the 4th to the 15th of June. So if you want to catch some fringe theatre, you can head on over to one of those places. Whichever one's closest to you, go and do it. Next up, continuing talking about shows that are playing at the Southwark Playhouse, we have I'm Gonna Marry You, Tobey Maguire, which has announced its casting, including Kyle Birch as Brenda D. Cankles, which is absolutely hilarious. I love that name. That is a drag queen name if I've ever heard one. And Anders Hayward, who is playing the titular Tobey Maguire, alongside the previously announced Tessa Albertsen as Shelby. This looks chaotic and camp, and I have to go. I have to. As well as that, we have the cast for Burlesque. Now, we've had so many Burlesque casting announcements. This is mainly ensemble, who will be in the description down below. But it has been revealed within the Burlesque casting that Nina Ann Nelson, actor and member of the American pop band Citizen Queen, is going to be playing Nikki and will be alternating Ali Rose. Next up, this one is interesting because this has been announced, but we haven't seen much in a way of like an official announcement, but it is the Operation Mincemeat cast. So what's happened with Mincemeat is that we have our next cast, and we know what date they're leaving, but they seem to be kind of keeping it quiet. So let's walk through the cast members they've announced from their official socials. We have Chloe Hart, who is taking over the role of Bevan. We have Emily Barber, who is taking over the role of Ewan Montague. We have Claire Marie Hall, who was kind of announced to be continuing in the role of Jean through their teaser on social media. We have George Jennings and Jonty Peach, who have both been announced, and we can infer from how they phrased it, they will be swings. And if we get any other bigger confirmations, if we get a full press release with this announcement, I will follow up in the next video. And finally, for casting news this week, we have the final two cast members for 222. So it has been announced that Donna Eyre will be playing Lauren and Joe McFadden will be playing Sam. These are two people that I'm less familiar with. I kind of knew the other two cast members, Stacey Dooley and James Buckley. I knew what they've done before, I knew their past work, but these two, I'm very unfamiliar with. But I think that is a beauty of 222 casting, is that they just managed to get everyone, and one of those people in that cast is going to be the person you're going to go, oh, I want to see it for them. So if you want to catch 222, it's playing at the Gielgud this summer. And now we can move on to our concert, starting with the news that I was so excited for. Oh my god, I have been begging for Something Rotten to come to the UK. We almost had it. Before COVID, we had a production that was going to go to Birmingham. I was willing to travel to Birmingham to see Something Rotten, but sadly, because of COVID, all of those plans were scrapped. But all hope isn't gone, because Something Rotten is going to be getting a concert performance at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane on Monday, the 5th of August, and Tuesday, the 6th of August, with Jason Manford starring as Nick Bottom. This is being directed by Tim Jackson, who you may find familiar if you've seen Two Strangers Karaoke Across New York. He directed that production. And the full Broadway score is going to be played by the London Musical Theatre Orchestra, who also did the recent Pippin concert at the same venue. Now, we have seen a little trend recently of productions starting at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane as a concert and then going on to bigger productions. Something that we have a news story to talk about a little bit later into this episode is another example of that. So all I can do is sit here with my fingers crossed, sat down and beg, please give us a full production of Something Rotten. It would play so well at like a mid-range West End house, maybe even take it to Shakespeare's Globe. That would be hilarious. I think this has such like a Britishness to its humor. I'm really excited for it. I'm going to have to see this concert. I love Something Rotten. I'm so glad that we're getting at least a taste of it over here in the UK, and I hope this leads into something more. And next up, we have some further casting for Carousel. Last week, this concert was announced, and they also announced that Jamie Moscato was going to be playing the lead. There were more casting announcements in that I sadly missed, because he will be playing alongside Christine Aladu as Julie Jordan and Rebecca Kane as Nettie Fowler. And the ones that have been announced this week are Ahmed Hamad as Enoch Snow, Charlotte Giaconelli as Carrie, David Milden as the narrator, Tim Protty Jones as Jigger Cragen, and Verity Quard as Mrs. Mullen. This performance will also include a Trinity Laban musical theatre ensemble and a 30-piece orchestra, which is very impressive. So if you want to see Carousel on stage with an absolutely massive orchestra, you can go and see that production this summer. Next up, we have our miscellaneous news. Sadly, we have to start with something fairly sad, which is Priscilla the Party is going to be closing on the 26th of May. This was announced last week. It was meant to be running until September, but they have made the decision to close early. I think it's a real shame. Of course, if you see my review of this show, I found that it had a few teething problems, but I think they were so easy to adjust and fix that I find it so sad that they have made the decision to close early, especially with such a talented cast who are so perfect for all of those roles. I'm going to try and visit Priscilla one last time. I was meaning to go back on a little bit of a quieter night, but I would recommend that you guys try and do the same. Next up, on a lighter note, the Palladium has opened its doors once again to do tours. It has been 5 years since LW Theatres has done backstage tours for the iconic London venue, but now you can get a taste of the Palladium as you can book a tour from the 15th of July to the 31st of August at 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. These tours lasting about an hour. I really want to do one of these tours. I haven't actually done like a proper tour of a theatre. I visited some theatres. I've gone on stage of some theatres, which is always like really cool. I've slowly been ticking off a few theatres, like I've done Novello, I've stood on the Lyric stage, that was the first stage I ever stood on, and I've stood on the vaudeville stage, and it's so cool to like see that other side of it, and I'm sure these tours really do interest me as a massive theatre fan, so I've got to see if I can book one. I've got to see if I can book it. And next up, we have the full lineup announced for MusicalCon. MusicalCon is happening this October, and there are so many musical theatre stars heading to MusicalCon this year that I can't even list them in this video. So instead, I'm going to put a link to the MusicalCon website in the description, because when I say there are a lot of stars, I mean it. I would be here listing names for the length of this video if I was to say everyone. That is how jam-packed with talent this convention is. But to pull out a couple of interesting names, this year's lineup includes Lucy Jones, Leighton Williams, Stevie Dock, Tobias Turley, Melina Barry, and the most exciting one, this year's guest of honor, original Hermes from Hadestown, Andre de Shields. Absolute Broadway legend. And he's going to be at MusicalCon, which is incredible. So if you want to head to MusicalCon, this year it's happening. This year's convention is happening from the 19th to the 20th of October. I'm going to try my best to be there. So if you see me there, say hello. But we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, I will confirm if I'm there or not. Hopefully. I really want to be there this year. Last year's was so much fun. I really enjoyed MusicalCon last year. And now we can get into the final stretch of this video. I told you that was a lot of news. And we can talk about transfers and new productions. First off, as a massive Doctor Who fan, this news story, when this broke, I screamed. We are getting a revival of The Importance of Being Earnest, which is going to the National Theatre's Littleton Theatre from the 20th of November to the 25th of January 2025. Well, November 2024 and January 2025. It crosses over years. This is being helmed by Matt Webster as director, making his National Theatre debut. And we have some of the cast who are iconic. We have Richard Cant as the Reverend, Sharon D. Clarke as Lady Bracknell, which is genius. That is amazing. Sharon D. Clarke, I haven't seen her do many comedic roles, but just imagining her Lady Bracknell feels legendary. And if that wasn't enough, Ncuti Gatwa, our current Doctor, is playing Algernon. Genius. So good. We also have Amanda Lawrence as Miss Prism and Hugh Skinner as Jack Worthing, with additional casting to be announced. With my knowledge of Importance Being Honest, we're missing some of the younger female casting. We're missing the pairings that Algernon and Jack Worthing get. But oh my god, if they match the caliber of that initial casting, this is going to be one of my most anticipated shows this year. I am shook. I can't wait. I love Doctor Who. Shooting Up was enough. But Sharon D. Clarke as Lady Bracknell? Oh, it's like this was made for me. Next up, we are getting a revival of the play Art. This is going on a autumn UK tour. And if you thought I hadn't read enough tour dates this video, get ready. This tour will be kicking off at Lighthouse Pool from the 29th to the 31st of August, followed by Theatre Royal Bath from the 3rd of September, Norwich Theatre Royal from the 10th of September, Mercury Theatre Colchester from the 17th of September, Malvern Theatres from the 24th of September, Devonshire Park Theatre Eastbourne from the 30th of September, Nottingham Theatre Royal from the 7th of October, Belgrade Theatre Coventry from the 15th of October, and Sheffield Lyceum from the 22nd of October, with additional dates to be announced. There you go. Yes. Let's rush on through this. Let's keep going. We've got so much news, and this video is already long enough. Frankie Goes to Bollywood, a new musical which is currently on a UK tour, has announced some extra tour dates. This is currently playing at the Watford Palace Theatre and will embark on a national tour with a run at home in Manchester from the 15th of May. After home, this show is playing in Hayes, Hornchurch, Wolverhampton, Bradford, Windsor, Coventry and Cardiff, and will be playing to audiences at the Queen Elizabeth Hall from the 31st of July to the 18th of August. So if you are near London or any of those other touring stops, you can catch this brand new musical, Frankie Goes to Bollywood. Next up, Titanique. We've been hearing whispers for a while that Titanique was looking to find a home here in London, and it has been announced initially by Breaking Bad and then confirmed with a further press release that Titanique will be getting a West End transfer later this year. Now, apparently they don't have a home yet. They're still in talks for their West End house, but we have some fairly big West End producers on this transfer, including Michael Harrison, who is working on the upcoming Starlight Express transfer and has his fingers and is dabbling in the Hello Dolly revival at the London Palladium this summer. So they've got some heavy hitters bringing this show over. So I expect that this comedic show is going to play very well over here. Next up, we have a revival of The Baker's Wife, which is going to the Menier Chocolate Factory from the 6th of July to the 14th of September 2024. I'm very unfamiliar with it, so I've got to try and catch it. And also, I kind of want to go to the Menier Chocolate Factory because they sell chocolate, and I do like a bit of chocolate. Next up, we have Hedda Gabler, which is starring Lily Allen. Lily Allen, of course, is no stranger to theatre, having starred in 222 and having starred in the recent, well, semi-recent, last year's revival of The Pillow Man. But this adaptation of Hedda Gabler is happening at the Theatre Royal Bath and is being directed by Matthew Dunster, which is a nice connection because he also directed 222, which initially starred Lily Allen. It's a mini reunion. Isn't that cute? This is happening in Bath from Friday the 25th of July to Saturday the 23rd of August. Next up, we're heading over to the West End, where we have a stage adaptation of Inside Number 9. This TV show, led by Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, is going to the West End's Wyndham Theatre from the 18th of January, with a newly written story dubbed Inside Number 9 Stage/Fright. As described in this press release, this show will feature comedic, spooky, and dramatic moments, as fans of the TV show have come to expect, with some familiar characters and stories mixing with brand new material. And it also has been announced that Pemberton and Shearsmith will be performing in this production, with further casting to be announced. I'm very unfamiliar with Inside Number 9. Of course, I've heard of it, and it has a very big legacy over here in the UK. So maybe I've got quite a while. It's not coming over till January. Maybe now's the time that I dive into Inside Number 9. So I'm ready for Inside Number 9 Stage/Fright. And finally, in theatre news this week, I've made it through, I've done it. And you remember earlier in the video when I announced that sometimes there has been a good link between a concert happening at the Theatre Royal Drury Lane and then going into the West End? Well, Your Lie in April, which had a concert earlier last month, has announced that it will be getting a fully staged iteration at the Harold Pinter Theatre, opening June 28th and playing through to the 21st of September. Now, this is really fast. This has happened very quickly, and it's really interesting because I think a lot of us expected Death Note to come to the West End before Your Lie in April. So clearly a lot of these plans have happened either very quickly or were planned pre the concert. What's also interesting is that the Harold Pinter very rarely takes on a musical. In modern memory, the last musical I can remember at the Harold Pinter was Sunny Afternoon, but that was before even I started really paying attention to West End theatre, so it's been a very, very long time since the Harold Pinter has hosted a musical. Every seat in the first 5 previews are being priced at £25, so if you want to snatch up a deal to go and see this anime adaptation, you can go and do it. I really enjoyed the stage concert and thought it had a lot of potential for a fully staged iteration, so I'm really intrigued to see how this has evolved in such a short span. But that is all your theatre news this week. What are you most excited for? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments down below. If you did enjoy this video, please consider hitting like and subscribe. It really helps me, it helps out the channel. Here's some links to some other videos on screen right now, and a link to my Instagram if you want to drop me a follow over there. But that's it for me today, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!